Kaya ka gusto ko yan. Say hello, Miss Granville. Hello, Miss Granville.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I see you both have your mask on.
Yeah. Yeah, we out in the street. We out in the street. Yes, to meet the veterans. Oh.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm good. I'm happy that we're going to have a speaker this evening.
All right. Just waiting for them to connect, right?
Welcome, Mr. McDonald. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing today?
I'm good.
I couldn't see the mic. Is that Miss Granville?
Yes, it is.
Good day. Good day. Good day. Thanks for the invite.
And thank you for responding.
Anytime.
I try to make sure that some information is presented to people that they did not have when they first started the meeting.
Okay.
So I'm very happy to see you and that you have two programs that you're going to talk about. I'm
Sure.
going to give people another 3 minutes and then we can get started.
Great. Not a problem.
Have you spoken to the Veterans Committee for Community Board 3?
No, I haven't. The only other veterans community in which we actually contacted was Community Board 16 because they had an
Okay.
event. I think it was with Community Board 3, funny enough, but they had a joint event in December of 2021.
Okay.
Fair. So that's the last other community board, but we didn't do it with Community Board 3, no.
Okay. I will pass your information on to the person who's the chair of that committee
Sure.
because I'm pretty sure that they would probably want to get the same type of information for their veterans.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And are you going to be around in November of this year?
Yes. Yep. God willing.
Okay, there's going to be a Veterans Appreciation Parade. I believe it's the first Saturday in November. I have to get you the exact date, but they're going to have like a resource fair after the actual parade.
Mhm.
They have tables for organizations to present information. So that might be another means of outreach for your group.
Thank you. Yeah, please send it. I think that was the event that we attended in 2021, my college.
Okay.
Yeah, the same event. Sure. So feel free. We'll greatly appreciate that.
And from what I understand, they're going to try to lengthen the actual route of the parade. So it would be longer, and they would try to have more organizations represented to bring out the information for the veterans and their families.
Good. Okay. 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 So I guess you got your permit already, huh?
Well, I believe they have gotten the permits because, to tell you the truth, some of the meetings I haven't been able to attend because they've been the same time as my community board 8 meetings.
Right. Right. Right.
So I'm doing double duty because I'm also chair of the Housing Advocacy Committee.
Okay.
So I think what I may have to ask my chairperson to do is to appoint an alternate person for me so they can go to those meetings for that Veterans Appreciation Parade when I can't get there.
Yeah, Community Board 3, their general meetings, I think it's the first Monday. That's their general meeting, right? It's the first
Yeah,
Monday.
and our meetings are always the second Thursday, but what they have done sometime, I think Dr. Brown is chairing the actual appreciation committee. She's from Community Board 16, so their schedule is different from ours. They've had some meetings about the parade that I haven't been able to attend because they conflicted with Community Board 8 meetings.
Right, right, right.
So actually, I think this whole business of having Zoom meetings has been busier for me than it was when we had the in-person meetings. I come home and I sit down and I catch my breath and I said, Lord, I don't have a meeting. And then when I check my email, I found out, yes, I do have a meeting.
Right. That is true. You know, it's funny because actually we had actually much more workshops as an organization via Zoom. Like we doubled the number of workshops we had, you know, under Zoom as compared to when they were in person. We still had a lot for in person because in person we probably had like over 60 events in a year, probably between 60 and 60, which is a lot. You talk about like one event each week,
Right.
more. Now we over that, you know, we doubled that already. So via Zoom. So those are pros and cons, you know, Zoom and WebEx meetings.
Well, I think it's been good for the community boards in general because a lot of people never realize exactly the type of issues we deal with.
Right.
And now that they can just come into their living room and click the screen on and hit the link, they now have more exposure to community boards than they probably ever had.
That's true. That's true.
And I think that the seniors appreciated the fact that they could tune in and not have to come out in this bad weather that we've had during the winter.
Right, right.
So I think, overall, I think it has been somewhat advantageous for the boards to meet this way.
Right.
And I hope they don't get too happy and think that everything is finished with this COVID and make everything in person again.
Right.
I think that would be a mistake.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's certainly, this part of COVID has certainly been a blessing though, because it also gave us like a means to meet with people. So, so people could, we can meet with clients over the phone or via Zoom now, in addition to if you want to come in, so it's more convenient for people now, much more convenient.
I think so. Well, I don't know where the rest of the members are who normally would show up from time to time, but I believe that you had a program, Health for Heroes Grant Program for disabled Brooklyn veterans.
Yes, we do.
So you can start with that one, and then you can do the one about the AHC repair grant.
Definitely would.
And also, I'm going to recommend that you bring news of your repair grant to Crown Heights North Association. Have you spoken to them before?
No, I have. I'm aware of them, but you know what? Because we did an e-blast, so I'm not certain if we send it to them. What I could do is if I could get like their email or like their Twitter or IG, Instagram handle, I'll definitely after the presentation, send them a flyer.
Okay, well, I don't have that, but I know that if you call the office tomorrow and you ask Julia, she could give you that information and you could communicate directly with them because they have mostly homeowners
Right, right.
as members. So they would definitely be interested in something like that.
Definitely. I would definitely do that. Definitely do that. Yeah,
And
but
I guess if you wanted to, have you been to the 7-7 precinct council?
no, I haven't been to the 77. When do they meet? The 77.
I think they usually meet I think it's the first Monday of the month, but I think they are one of the groups that has gone back to in person.
Okay.
But Brian Saunders is the chairperson now. So if you call the board office and you ask for Brian Saunders' number,
Okay.
you could probably speak to him directly and see how they're doing it. Because at one point they were having hybrid meetings where they had a mix of Zoom and in person.
Okay.
I'm not sure how they're doing it now.
Okay. So I'll definitely call
That's a whole nother population because some of those people that come to the precinct council do not come to the board.
Right. That is true.
So you can get started.
Sure. Not a problem. Well, good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. My name is Tyrone McDonald, and I'm the Government and Community Relations Manager of Neighborhood Housing Services of Brooklyn. And so I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to talk about two exciting programs that we have, two repair programs we have. One is called the Home Help for Heroes program, also known as the Triple H. And then we also have the AHD, which stands for the Affordable Housing Corporation Repair Program, which is another grant program we have. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. Okay. All right. Just a little bit about Neighborhood Housing Services of Brooklyn. Actually, we're a community-based not-for-profit organization, and it's basically our mission to provide resources to underserved areas. And we do this with a concentration on promoting homeownership, housing preservation, and also tenant support services. So that's our concentration. All right. And this year marks our 40th anniversary. All right. So we actually reached the milestone. Our main office is at 2806 Church Avenue between Nostrand and Rogers. Actually, I need to update this because actually we are open for walk-in visits as of March 15th of this year. All right. So we are open to in-person office visit. And we also have a Canarsie office, which is at 9701 Avenue L between Rockaway Parkway and East 98th Street. And our web address is nhsbrooklyn.org. And our telephone number is 718-469-4679. Now, actually, our service area is pretty wide because not only do we cover East Flatbush and Canarsie, where we have our offices situated in, but we also cover the surrounding neighborhoods, which includes East New York, Crown Heights, even Coney Island, Brownsville, Flatlands, and Flatbush, to name a few. Okay, as I said, our main programs are first-time home buying, homeowner services, which includes home repair programs. It includes foreclosure intervention. It includes homeowner insurance review, tenant support services. That includes, going over tenant rights, Housing Connect, and so forth. Okay. A little bit about what we do: foreclosure intervention, landlord training, and so forth. All right. Now, regarding the matter at hand of why I'm here today, we actually launched a program called the Home Help for Heroes program. We actually got state money from HCR to actually launch this program. And actually, this was because of some board members of our organization. We have a few board members of our organization who are veterans, and they just felt the need to actually have a program that address veteran needs. And the Home Help for Heroes program is a home repair grant program, all right, where homeowners and also tenants can get up to $20,000 to repair their home. Now, the repairs have to address have to make their home more accessible, all right, for the disability, okay? So that includes things like widening doors, grab bars in the bathroom, a lift, a ramp, and the list goes on, all right? And some of the guidelines is that, number one, the person has to be a veteran, all right? They have to live in Brooklyn. They could either be a homeowner or a tenant, which is pretty unique for this. If they're a tenant, they must get approval from their landlord, all right, to do the repairs, all right? So the landlord's going to be the main one applying for this program, all right? And for homeowner, it must be owner occupied, all right? So it couldn't be like an investment property per se. And an interesting thing also about this is that in a homeowner situation, the homeowner doesn't necessarily have to be on the deed. Or let's say, for example, you have a family member that lives with you who's a veteran. And let's say Uncle James is staying with you, and you want to apply for this program. If you meet the income guidelines, you'll be also eligible for this program. Okay. Now, regarding disability, because there are some misunderstandings regarding disability. The disability, number one, it doesn't necessarily have to be in combat. Okay. It can also be due to frailty due to advanced age. So let's say, for example, someone has serious arthritis, and they are a veteran, and they just need repairs, just to help them, navigate around the house. It can be also used for that as well. Or let's say, for example, they have some other illness, that kind of limits their mobility. You can also use it for that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be ADA recognized disabilities to be eligible for this. Okay, but you do need to have some type of doctor's notation on that, saying that this is necessary for you. Okay, now here are the income limits for the Home Health for Heroes program, and income limits is actually higher than what we normally see, because when we normally deal with these type of programs, when you deal with the AMI, which is the area median income, all right, they normally deal with 80%. And this is actually a little bit high. This is actually 120% AMI. So what does all that mean? Because I know AMI can be very mysterious to a lot of people. So if you're in a 3-person household, all right, you can't make more than $128,880. Okay. If you're in a 4-person household, you can't make more than $143,160. Okay. You can make less than that, given that respective family size, but you just can't make more than that. Okay. And as I said before, which is interesting, whoops, let me go back to that screen. The income guidelines is normally higher than the other grant programs, because other grant programs normally deal with 80%. Okay. And once again, I do want to underscore the fact that the disability doesn't necessarily have to be in combat. A person, either due to age or even an accident in civilian life, any type of accident in civilian life, which actually caused a reduced mobility, you'll be eligible for this program. Okay. Now, also, I can also send an application fee for a community board aid so they can actually distribute among the members. But for any other information, you can always call our office. You can ask for me, Tyrone McDonald, or you can ask for Miss Cummings, all right, who's actually the person overseeing the Home Health for Heroes program, all right? So I'm going to stop my share, and also I'm going to talk a little about the other program, the AHC, the Affordable Housing Corporation Home Repair Program, which is also a home repair program, okay? Stop that. Go back into it. Okay, the AHC grant program. All right, you all see it on your screen. It's that light blue program. Now, the AHC grant program is a program. However, it's not, compared to the Home Health for Heroes program, it's not targeting a specific group. All right, the group is a little bit larger. All right, Number one, you have to be a homeowner and you have to live in Brooklyn. Okay. And you can get up to $20,000 to do repairs. And this is on a first come and first served basis. Okay. Now, with the Home Help for Heroes program, when it comes to the repairs, now the repairs has to address number one, either safety issue, some type of deteriorating condition, such as, like a leaky roof. Let's say you have like issues with your stairs. Also, energy efficiency issues. You can't use it necessarily just for general remodeling. Let's say, for example, you want to remodel your home kitchen because you think your kitchen is outdated and you want to renew that. You can't use it for that. It has to address either some type of safety, deteriorating condition. You can also use it for code violations. Let's say you have a code violation that needs to be addressed. You can actually use it for that. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna unshare this and get to the income guidelines. The income guidelines for this, similar to the Home Help for Heroes program, is also pretty high compared to other grant programs. I'm gonna stop the share. Okay, let me get back into it and just get to the application itself. Okay. All right. So everyone see the application for the Home Help for Heroes program?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now it's slightly lower compared to the Veterans Grant Program. So it's actually at 112% AMI. Now, what does that mean? All right. So if you're in a two-person household, all right, your income can't exceed $85,568. All right. If you're in a three-person household, your income can't exceed $96,208. And if you're in a four-person household, your income can't exceed $106,848. Okay. It's a little less than the Veterans Program, but it's still higher than a lot of grant programs. Okay. And this, like the other ones, the home must be owner occupied. All right. So let's say a person can't use it for an investment property. All right. And also, what's also very important with this program is that a person must stay in the property for 10 years. Okay. So what happens is, let's say, for example, they decide to sell the property, let's say in year 4 of them taking out this grant and having the work done. If that's the case, then they're going to have to pay the $20,000 back if they decide to sell the property. And how it works is that actually the grant is actually a lien on your property, and the lien lasts for 10 years. Okay. So let's say, for example, you sell the property in year 4, right? You're going to have to pay the full 20 back. But let's say, for example, you have another person who decides to sell the property in year 7. What's going to happen is that they're not going to have to pay the whole amount back, because what happens is that starting at year 6, the amount starts to reduce until you get to your 10th year where it's all forgiven. Okay. As I said before, this is actually a lien against the property. So what happens is that when you sell the property, that's when the lien is paid off. It's actually paid off during the sale of the property. However, at the 10th year, everything is forgiven. And the reason why this is done is that the government's trying to discourage flipping or people applying for grant and selling it and so forth. So they're trying to discourage that. They want people to stay in their property, not forever, but for a good amount of time. Okay. And here are some of the eligible repairs you can use it for. Sewer, it's not just limited to those: electrical repairs, boiler replacement, conversion, roof repairs, lead paint abatement, even handicap accessibility. So you can actually use it for that as well. Okay. So I'm going to stop my. Okay, stop my. All right. So does anyone have any questions regarding the AHC grant or the Home Help for Heroes?
So the first program that you talked about, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Ms. Grant.
Okay, the first program that you talked about was specifically for veterans, correct?
Yes, specifically for veterans.
Okay. And then the other one that you just talked about is for homeowners in general.
Homeowners in general who live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the first program, the HHH, was that grants and loans or just grants?
They're both grants. So the
Okay.
Home Health for Heroes is a grant, and also the AHC is also a grant. But
Okay.
they call it a forgivable loan. The reason being is that in both programs, they want you to stay in the property for 10 years.
Okay.
You know, and if and at the 10th year, it's forgiven because what happens? It becomes a lien on your property. You know, for the 10th year, and as you approach the 10th anniversary, then it's all forgiven. But it's all a grant, though. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question, Ms. Granville.
Yes, Ms. Tate.
Go right ahead.
Okay, you're talking about staying in your properties. Suppose you have co-ownership of your property, or you leave your property to a family member. Would
Okay.
they still, you know, the person's living in the house,
Right.
right? Would that be a problem?
That wouldn't be a problem. That would not be a problem at all. If let's say, for example, in both instances, let's say for the Home Health for Heroes program, a person is a veteran and they're just living with somebody else, or even let's say, for example, they didn't necessarily transfer over the deed over to the person; they just happen to be living. That person can actually apply for the program, to do repairs on behalf of the veteran. They could actually do that if they have a veteran living with them. Also, same thing with the AHC program, but in regards to AHC program, if the person who actually is on the deed is going to be the person who's going to have to be the lead person applying for the grant. Okay, in both instances, but that would not be a problem.
Okay, well, the second grant is the one I'm talking about, because I mean, what happens if the person passes before year 10?
Okay. If a person, that's a good question. If a person passes, I have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
All right. That's a good question. If they have passed before year 10, I have to get back to you. Now that's assuming that person's on the deed, correct?
Assuming, yes, that person is on the deed. Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that. I'm gonna put that. Let's say they pass away in year 8. Would they have to pay?
Mhm.
That's a good question.
Mhm.
That's an excellent question.
I mean, that's the problem where a lot of not only veterans, but senior homeowners have lost their property
Mm-hmm.
because of this. Say, oh, there's no, if you leave your home to, your son or your daughter, oh, it's guaranteed. They don't have to pay, the loan back. And then people find out after their passing, oh, yes, they do.
Right.
And they're forced to sell the home.
Right. That's a good question. Like in my experience with neighborhood housing services, an experience that kind of like approximate what you're talking about, and this group had to pay it back. Was one group was somebody passed away, and what happens is that the children were actually selling the property. So in that instance, they actually had to pay it back because they were selling it before the 10th year. So depending on, and once again, after year 6, when you reach the 6th year, the amount starts to reduce, right? So in that instance with the children, they did have to pay it back because they were selling it before the 10th year. But let's say, for example, the person passed away in the 7th year or the 8th year, and let's say children don't sell it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to find out whether or not you have to pay it back in that instance.
Okay.
I have to get back to you on that. But in the instance, there was an instance where, and it was an AHC grant where, the children did sell it and they did have to pay it back because it was recorded as a lien on the property. All right. And this lien is very different from, let's say, water. Because with water, And let's say tax lien, as you know, the city sells it to an investor, right? And then the investor, if a person's late, they can actually increase the fines and the interest rate and so forth. Well, this is a little different. It's a recorded lien. However, once the property is sold, that is when the government takes their portion. So it's a little different. Works a little different for how DEP and the tax lien works. Because we're not in the business of, let's say, putting people out, because of this. So it works a little different. But I'll definitely get back to you, in regards to the children, if they decide to stay, if somebody passes away, if they have to pay it back. So I'm gonna put in our chat my email. So well, I'll email Ms. Granville, and she'll probably forward you the answer to that tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other
And
questions?
what you could do also, Mr. McDonald, is you could also copy the board office on that response to her question.
Okay.
Because to tell you the truth, I think a lot of people are going to tell me in a couple of days, well, I'm so sorry I missed that particular presentation, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And the other thing I wanted to ask you, the brochures that you have shown that you shared on the screen, could you possibly send a few of those to the district office? We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll put them in the mail tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll put them in there. I'll email you some if I haven't, and I'll send you some hard copies of both
Okay.
the AHC and also the triple H.
Now, I wanted to ask you, the two programs that you talked about, I know you mentioned one of them, if someone has certain types of violations, they could be used to clear the violations up. Is that for the second program more so than the first?
Yeah, that's for the second program. Yeah, definitely,
Okay.
because the second program is a straight repair program, right?
Okay.
However, with the second program, is it set on the guideline? A person can actually also use the second program for disability repairs, like to make it more self. Like they can also use it for the AHC too, But that's straight. Yeah, to answer your question, that's more straight. Yeah, it's more like straight repairs. So you can use it for like code violation, but you can't use a code violation for the Home Healthy Heroes program. Home Healthy Heroes program is strictly accessibility.
Okay.
Yeah, strictly.
Now, is there an age limit on that second program?
No, there's not an age limit for the second program. It's actually more income based in his age. However,
Okay.
however, demographically, what happens is that most of the people who usually apply for it, because you fall in that bracket, are normally seniors. But it's not like, and we have senior grants in the past. It's not age based per se, even though a lot of seniors do fall in that category, and they tend to apply.
Okay. Ms.
So
Tate Hall, did you have another question?
yeah, because I'm just listening and trying to get an answer to the first one. So the first one is age-based?
No, the first one, which is the veterans program, is not. Neither one of them are age-based. They're not age-based.
Okay.
No, they're not age-based. What I said was, what happens is that particularly with the AHC grant program, which is like the general home repair grant program, we just tend to have a lot of seniors apply for it since they usually fall in that demographic, income-wise. So we tend to get like a lot of seniors, but it's not age-based.
Ms. Jordan, you've been very quiet. No questions?
Not yet.
Now, if someone has questions who was not at this meeting, they could call the office. Would somebody be able to answer their questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you said that was 718-469-4679?
That is correct.
And you said either you or Miss Cummings?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let me see in the chat. What I'll do is I'll put my information in the chat, my email as well. They can also feel free to email us too.
Okay.
Are we using the chat or are we using Q&A?
Well, as far as I can tell, we actually do have the chat for this particular committee. We don't have them for many anymore, but for this one we do.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, they do
yes.
have a
We
chat
do.
function
Yeah.
here. Yeah, anyone has any other further questions?
I can't think of any questions right at this time.
No, no problem. So whenever you get inspired, there it is. Whenever you get inspired, feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call.
Okay, and like I said, I'm going to pass your information on to the Veterans Appreciation Committee,
Mm-hmm.
because even though they plan to have organizations come out in November,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any point in the information not being disseminated between now and then.
Absolutely, because the thing is that with these grant programs, they're very time sensitive, and we have like a certain time period to use, to use
Okay.
money. So definitely, if they could get it out, share before, because by
And I'm
then,
pretty,
it might be used up by then.
yeah, and I'm pretty sure that the gentleman who has the precinct council, I don't know his membership like I know the board's membership, but I'm pretty sure that there's some veterans and families of veterans that can be included in that group,
Mm-hmm.
because they are an older group of homeowners. So I'm sure they would love to get this information.
Sure, that's Mr. Saunders, right? Mr. Saunders.
Yes, Brian Saunders.
Okay, great.
So I want to thank you so much for coming out.
Anytime. This is a pleasure. I always like connecting with the community boards. This is actually a pleasure
And
for me.
I like the fact that your presentation is very, very straightforward. And some people frown when it's a highly technical presentation.
Right.
But in this particular case, it's very straightforward. So I don't think there will be too many people that would have a problem understanding what you were saying.
Right.
So, Miss Tate Hall, do you have any other questions?
Yes, one more.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you said it's time sensitive, and I did hear you say that I believe I heard you say first come, first serve.
Yes.
Okay, when you give that information over to the board, can you specify that and give them a proximity to what the deadline date would be? So
Okay.
if somebody's eligible and wanting to use it, right, they will step up instead of sit back and find themselves in some kind of dire problem.
Okay. I know the flyer does say it's first come, first serve on
Mhm.
both flyers, so I'll definitely do that.
And I appreciate Miss Tate Hall making that distinction, because sometimes people do sit back and think that they have more time than they actually do.
Right. Yeah. Not thinking there's also other people in dire situations, and and they're gonna scoop that up, especially if it's like free money.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
you know.
Definitely.
Because between you and me, I think the days of everybody looking around and deciding, oh, we're getting a stimulus check, I think those days might be over.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever else comes along that we can take advantage of, that we need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Now, I have one other question for you, even though it doesn't relate to these two
Go right
programs.
ahead. Go right ahead.
You used to have a program for homeowners where they were taught how to make basic repairs. Do they still have that program?
Yes, we do. Due to COVID, we actually put it on a pause, a temporary pause. That's the home maintenance training program. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we actually still have it. We normally give the course in spring, March, and September, right? And that's a 6-week course which teaches you how to do repairs yourself, right? That covers like putting in tiles, learning how to use various tools, plastering, and so forth. And what happened was, yeah, we actually canceled it. Actually, because when COVID struck in 2020, we actually were in our second week of our of our spring class. So we actually had to cancel it. And we actually have not had it since. And then, we were considering actually probably launching it for 2020, March of 2020, and then Omicron hit. So that kind of dashed our plans then. So we're actually, all things, we have our fingers crossed for September. So that's what we're looking for. But it's on a temporary pause. But we still
So it's normally 6 weeks, you said?
Yes, normally 6 weeks. And it's 3 hours. It's from 6 to 9. And it's hands-on, completely hands-on.
Is it one particular day out of the week?
Normally, it was on a Wednesday. It was
Okay.
a Wednesday. The last time we gave the class, it was normally Wednesday from 6 to 9.
Okay.
And would
Because
you
that might
consider
be
doing,
something else that we could use, because what I'm going to ask the district office to do, when you send in the brochures for both programs, is to put that notice in our June newsletter, because I think
Right.
the May has gone out already.
Mhm.
And also to mention the fact that there may also be a home maintenance training program. Put that in the newsletter so that
Okay.
people will have it. And they might be, if they're like me and they respect paper, they may actually hold on to the information longer than if somebody tells it to them verbally and they jot it down.
Right. That's definitely true. Definitely true. So you know what? So I'll send you some flyers along when I send you the hard copies of the AHC.
Okay.
So I'll send you some home maintenance training flyers too.
Okay. And that would be very good, because I know that it would go in the newsletter. And since it's the last newsletter before the summer, people may actually pay a little more attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we thank you for coming out.
Anytime.
And Miss Jordan, you don't have any questions?
No.
Okay. Okay. Miss Jordan has a she's a very active member for Block Association. So she lets the folks know what's going on with the community board.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Miss Tate Hall, you have no more questions?
sorry to say, I have one more.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
There's a program that was run when it was called Acorn, and now I think they're called Many, MANY,
Mm-hmm.
and they have they're a little bit different from you, but when you mentioned the home improvement courses, they have one also. But like you said, since COVID, I haven't heard a word. You're the only one that I've heard of besides Home Depot, and I've been to a class at Home Depot, and it was like devastating.
Mhm.
So those home improvement classes, only Wednesday you would offer them. You couldn't offer them on a Saturday.
Yeah, only Wednesday, because a lot of it also hinges on the availability of the instructor.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of it also, and also the space as well, because the last space we actually were using was the YMCA, and this one was on Bedford and Flatbush. So that one had availability at the time, and the thing with the YMCA on a Saturday, they're pretty heavily used on a Saturday. So like Wednesday was like the a good date for not only the instructor, but also they had like an opening for the YMCA. So that's what it hinges on,
And it couldn't be something where it could be held outside, like the nearest park or something where,
I mean that is something that to think about. You also got to think about weather too, with
yeah, definitely.
weather and that's why indoors and electricity. We've had stuff in the outdoors, but it was never like an ongoing workshop. It was always like a one-off. Like anytime we had like a fair, we would do like a home repair demonstration outdoors. But that was always like a one-off. It was never like ongoing. Like an ongoing thing. That's something to consider, particularly with COVID. But as I said, it also depends on the space and so forth. But it's definitely something to consider, because the thing with this program, it's do it yourself. So like a lot of materials, and actually what you'll be actually doing is actually, let's say building, let's say a room from like the ground up. So, you're putting in the boards, you're putting in the beams, the wooden beams, and yeah, that's what you actually be doing, in
Okay.
class. And actually there's two levels. You have a level one. Actually, not level one. It's more like the first part is carpentry. Then you also have like a second part was deal more with plumbing and electrical.
Hmm.
So the second part deals with like a lot, let's say, of installing, let's say, toilets, troubleshooting like different type of plumbing repairs, electrical, like putting in switches and outlets, that sort of thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Anytime, anytime. All right. So I'm gonna work and get this stuff out for you tomorrow. And also, I also didn't forget your question, Ms. Tate Hall, regarding, if a person passes away and then, would they have to pay that back? So, okay. So I'm gonna get these answers to you tomorrow.
Okay.
And
Thank you very much.
and thank you for your time, and also for sending your suggestions, like Mr. Saunders at the 77th. I'll definitely reach out to him, and also Crown Heights North. I'll definitely
Yes,
reach out to them.
because I'm sure you'll get a very responsive audience with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, everyone, take care.
Okay. Ladies, thank you for coming. I don't know what happened to the rest of the folks, but I thought it was a good presentation.
It was. It definitely was.
And it just popped up earlier today. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing how things work out. So we can look to see mention of both programs in our newsletter for June.
Okay.
Unless, of course, Miss George decides that she wants to send the information out earlier.
Okay.
But thank
And
you all for coming. Now, did you all have anything else you wanted to discuss?
not from me. No.
Okay. Miss Jordan? Well, if I hear no other questions and no one else has anything related to veterans to discuss, we can adjourn the meeting.
Okay, I second it.
Adjourn.
Okay. Thank
Thank you.
you. So I look forward to seeing everyone at the next veterans meeting, which hopefully will be a little more heavily populated.
That was good.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.